Hey everybody, back again. Another episode of Why Do You Choose to Call Bolivar Home? And again, I've been enjoying the series. I know a lot of you have been enjoying the series, and today I have the opportunity to sit with Bill and Sandy Jones, and we're talking about people that we've had the opportunity to be able to interview through the series, and I've heard some fantastic stories, and really just people who helped shape the community. And for one of you at least, Bill, you born and raised here. Sandy, self-described from St. Louis, but you've been here for quite a while as well, right?
Yeah,
so you have a lot
a
lifetime. Yeah, you have a lot to add to this too. So thanks for sitting down with me and just kind of having this conversation, and we can talk about whatever you would like to talk about, but the main point of it is why you choose to call Bolivar home. And before we really get into that, how about you just kind of tell us about yourselves here? If you were introducing yourself, what would that sound like?
Well, my name is Sandy Jones. I was raised in St. Louis, actually born in Marshfield, Missouri, but I spent most of my life in St. Louis until I came to school down here and subsequently met him and been married for 37 years.
56
56
years. And we've lived in our house 40 years.
I wanted to see if he was
Yes.
listening.
That was a test for you. She knew. She knew. Yeah.
Yeah, we've lived here for 37 years.
40
years.
40. But you've been married for how long? 56 years?
56 years.
Okay.
I'm Bill, by the way.
All right, great. And Bill, what about you? Born and raised here?
Born and raised here. I went away after high school to college, SMS, for 3 years, and then came back and went to SBU for 2 years. And I participated in all the sports in high school, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And music. I enjoyed my music.
So you're born and raised here. You went to the North Ward
I went
School?
to South Ward.
South Ward School, which is
We had two wards back then. There were ward schools, North Ward and South Ward. And Broadway was a dividing line.
Yeah.
Everybody north of Broadway went to North Ward, and everybody south went to South Ward. And then Mitchell School was built.
Oh.
And a lot of our kids went over there. And the kids from Polk kids came in every morning.
Yeah.
And they went to Mitchell School.
Okay. Yeah, because I think I heard earlier that Polk had its own school at one time, and then it got kind of divided, and the kids moved. It broke up into the different schools in the area, but that must have been a while ago.
And I was going to tell us, every year when we were in the 6th and 7th grade, we had softball matches.
Okay.
Among all three of the schools. And we would hike out to North Ward School about 2:30, 2 o'clock, and play North Ward. And we'd go to South Ward or go to Mitchell School,
Yeah.
and play Mitchell School. And they would come there, and it was a lot of fun. You always look forward to that.
Yeah. So, and then Sandy, you came here, you said to go to school. So was that
Yes, in was it 1963.
Okay.
I was in St. Louis, and I just decided I'd been working for about 5 years after I graduated high school, and I just decided I needed to do something else. I mean, had a good job, but so I wound up coming to Bolivar to see about this school. My pastor recommended Southwest Baptist. He said it's a 2-year school. It's a small town, but it's going to move to a 4-year school, and I think you would fit in really nicely. And I did.
Yeah.
And so I came down here, and didn't really have much to do with him the first year, and then I went home. Because I didn't know him.
Okay.
And I had to go back home. My father had a heart attack, so I had to go back home and work for another year. And then I came back, and then that's when I met him in that next year, because I was a busy girl on campus.
Yeah.
I was into everything.
Were you?
I was a musician, music person. And so I was and worked with the faculty a lot, and I worked for the faculty some, so I was really involved in school. As you saw when I was Miss Southwest 1968, I was into everything. And so I met him, and we dated a little bit, and then I left for Europe for 3 months.
Oh.
And
what was in Europe?
Well, I just had an opportunity to travel all over the Holy Land and all over Europe and the British Isles and everything. So
Janet, the Horners,
yeah.
Dr. Horner.
And so when I came back, then he met me in New York. And I flew back into New York. I told him, we rode all summer.
Yeah.
And I told him that I was going to stop in New York when I came back because I might not ever get back up there. And so he said, I'll drive up and pick you up. So we all summer, this back and forth, I didn't think he would. And behold, when I walked out of customs and through the door, there he was. So we spent a week in New York together.
I'm going to drive up and pick from Missouri, from here.
I had a cousin that had a house in Pearl River, New York. Her husband was with American Express. And then his friend had a place on Manhattan, just down the street from the governor's house.
Gotcha.
And
we stayed a couple of days at his cousin's house, and then we moved into the city and on Manhattan.
Wow.
And we had a wonderful.
Yeah, I bet.
We had his apartment free, and we went to every
cheap.
play we could, and we weren't married, and everything was okay.
Yeah.
it was.
If anybody wants to.
They were checking their calendars. But
And then we came back to Bolivar, and I finished my senior year.
Okay.
And he was working for his mom, and he had been at Missouri State, played football. Did you know that? He played at Missouri State.
Okay.
And and
good
then
teams.
and
Good
then so anyway, we decided that it was during the height of Vietnam.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to do anything because I hadn't graduated, and there was all this. And so he went to take his physical, and he flunked his physical for Vietnam. And I was helping to audition some kids for music because I worked with faculty on stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was inside the audition room, and there was a pounding on the door. They were just not letting people in. And they said, Bill is out here. He wants to see Sandy. So I went out, and the hallway was full of students. And he picks me up, twirls me around, and holds up this, I failed my physical.
oh, happy day.
So
I didn't want to go.
That was in September, and we got married. And right after that, we decided to go ahead and get married. So we got married Thanksgiving Day.
Okay. Wow. Your anniversary is Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah,
all right.
November the 28th.
Okay. So, and that was, kind of your college. You both talked about music.
Mm-hmm.
So is that that's one of the bonds there, I assume?
Yeah.
Music?
Oh, yeah.
Is it vocal or play an instrument? Or
I was
vocal.
a singer. Yeah.
You were both a singer.
And in
Okay.
St. Louis, I was in a lot of plays, and then I was in Springfield Little Theater a number of times.
Oh, wow.
Musicals, that was my forte.
Yeah. Any favorite musicals?
Oh, name them. I was in several.
I love Fiddler on the Roof. I love The Sound of Music. I love Oliver
I was
Twist.
Sound of Music. I was in big
Yeah.
production at Springfield Little Theater, Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah. It's
And,
great stuff.
Several down there. It was great.
That's when I first got attracted to her. She was singing. Well, she sang Birth of the Blues in chapel one day. And oh boy, the lady could sing. She sang before, like Barbara Streisand.
Okay.
Before Barbara Streisand.
Wow.
Well, she could. Oh.
Have you heard him say that before? Oh, okay. Yeah.
She had the pipes.
Yeah.
And that really attracted me to her.
Okay.
So we've both been involved in our church here and in the choir, and he's he member of the choir for years and years.
Yeah.
But I had to drop out recently because I have a balance issue, and getting in and out of the choir loft was getting to be difficult, and I didn't want to fall and splat in front of the church and everybody.
I don't want to skip ahead too far, but your daughter took after you too, right?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
she has a beautiful
We used to sing
voice.
together.
Yeah. We had a little family trio. We'd sing in church every once in a while.
That's great. So after college, you guys got married, and you decided. This is kind of the point of the video series here too, because at that point, I assume you have some options. Of course, you're probably partial to Bolivar being born and raised there. But was there ever a conversation about, okay, where are we going to put roots? Where are we going to go settle? Or how did you decide? Why did you choose Bolivar?
I stayed with the store. Then Sandy and I eventually bought the store from my mother.
So talk about the store a little bit. When
Packard
you say the store,
the dress shop was started in July of 1936. My mother started it, and
she retired 30 years later.
She retired 30 years later.
We bought it from her.
We bought it from her.
So she had it 30 years, and we had it 30 years before we closed
The
it.
store was well known for having
Yeah.
quality merchandise and very good and stylish store.
And it's right there on the corner of
Yep.
Broadway and
Where
Main.
the payday
right?
place is, whatever it is.
Right,
So
just across the street from Douglas Hunt and Heidelman, and also
Yeah.
the old
Exactly.
Bank,
Northwest corner of the square.
it was there for
Yeah.
60 years.
which incidentally is where the neighborhood real estate office is now.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
second floor there is
Yes,
the
I
neighborhood
see
real estate
that,
office. It's really cool. It's really cool to be able to stand up there. And I growing up here, I remember seeing hackers there. In fact, I was interviewing Carol Poindexter the other day for the recorder's office, and she remembers when she was new into town. She didn't really know anybody, and she went in there to look for some dresses, and it might have been you that was helping her, I assume at the time. I don't know, but she said I went in there looking at dresses, and they said, "Here, take those home, try them on, see if they work." And she was like, "What? You want me to leave with
Well,
these?"
we had a plan where you could just take it on approval. And
Sign up
stores
for 'em.
didn't have that back then. You
Yeah.
take it
And
all on
everybody was
approval.
shocked. Anybody that
Yeah.
came in from out of town said, "Do what? Take it on approval? What is that?"
We had people from Kansas City, St. Louis,
Yeah.
everywhere that had shops to store, and they wanted to make sure that
You know,
they-
it was a really, really good business. His mother did a really great job. I think we did too. We go to 5 markets a year. I mean, five a year, and in Kansas City and
Oh, yeah.
Dallas, and it was a really good business for a while. But you know how business retail got.
Oh boy.
It kept going down. So
Well, the
there's
online
none on the
presence
square now, for that reason.
Yeah.
And women seem to want to buy online or go to all the
Outlet
super
stores.
outlets and all
Well,
that.
in the day there, the hackers was there, and then down the street, my wife's dad worked because he went to SBU at the time, and he worked. Was it Braithwaite's? Braithwaite's.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Well, that was a clothing store,
Men's clothing,
clothing
yeah.
store
Uh-huh.
too, right? Which is where maybe the feed store is now,
I think, well,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that was
Interesting.
actually a paint store
Oh, okay.
where
The Braithwaite family owned that whole block.
Oh,
They control that. They had men's store, ladies' clothing, and they had groceries, I believe. Something.
wow.
So
Yeah.
we finally closed it, and then we went out to find something else to do. And he immediately got hired by a woman who had been a customer of
Jane
ours,
Meyer.
and Jane Meyer at KTXR in
Yeah.
Springfield. So he never even had to look for a job. I had to look for a job. For 6 months, I worked at the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And then the president of OTC, I had known from St. Louis, and he knew I was available, and he was looking for an executive secretary.
Yeah.
His lady was going to quit, and so that was right in the beginning of all of the OTC stuff. So
Okay.
I was in on the bottom of everything.
Her name's on a
And-
lot of the
Yeah,
buildings.
my
Yeah.
name, because I was an officer of the corporation.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
They had to put a plaque up with all our names on. So my name's on every building
Yeah.
there, except that big new one, and now the one they're building.
Yeah.
So
Talk about. So when did you decided to start your family? Did you still have the store at that time, or
no, we did. We
you still
we
you
the
had
store.
hackers? Yeah. So would
yeah.
Jill go to the store
We
with
left
you?
it at 95.
Jill would go to the store with us. She was raised in the store. That's right.
That's
One interesting thing about that store is that when we closed, we had the original cash register.
Oh, wow.
And I just wondered how many dollars went through that
Yeah.
cash. A bunch.
What'd you do with it?
Oh, what?
What did you do with it?
I think we
Left it.
probably sold it, didn't we? I mean, when we had
Oh,
an
yeah, we
auction.
did sell
Yeah.
it. So
Okay.
somebody bought it as an antique.
Well, yeah, I would have. I would have honestly.
Actually,
Yeah.
no, it was more contemporary.
Okay. All right. So, talk about maybe the other hats that you've worn. You talked about where you worked after that, but you were the mayor of Bolivar, not once but twice, right? So, what led you to want to run for mayor, and what was that experience?
I was on the city council in my first term, and I saw that we had some needs, and so that's why I ran.
Yeah.
It was time. It was time for a change.
Yeah.
And I won.
Yeah.
It's really surprising. Everybody, I grew up here and everybody knew me, but they still voted for me.
Thought I burned all those bridges.
Yeah. I met a guy named Dusty Ross. You know Dusty Ross?
Right. I'm familiar. Yeah.
He's a great guy. Great guy.
What about what year were you? About what year?
Oh boy. We were 93, 92 or 3. I think
Okay,
it was 93.
okay. That was the first term.
That was the first term.
Okay.
And you can serve. Well, I served 2 terms. Served that term and lost the next election, and then ran again and won, and then left to work for Meyer Communications.
Okay. Yeah, Meyer Communications there. What are you most proud of, maybe as serving as mayor or even on the board? Is there anything that stands out? Like, yeah, this is something that we really
we wrote a lot of the city ordinances.
Okay.
Because they were outdated. Kerry Douglas was our city attorney and very sharp, and we rewrote most of them.
Okay.
And we built the Humane Society.
That was one thing I was going to say. That was one thing I
Started
was
the
proud
Humane
of.
Society. And just several. We bought our city employees more equipment.
Okay.
They had no equipment.
Yeah.
And eventually, the next board that came on there got an opportunity to buy the blue building we have on the east side of town.
Oh yeah. You talked about how sports was a big part of your life of shaping you. So maybe talk about your experience with sports. You said you started Little League in Bolivar, and then
we started the first Little League team.
Yeah.
A bunch of young businessmen here in town, Gerald Stevens and Charles Frazier and some of the other men decided we need to get these kids in baseball. And they had tryouts, and I didn't have to try out because what they did, they asked the kids in the schools who were the best baseball players, softball players.
Yeah.
Well, I was the only one from Southport chosen. I could pitch, I could throw, and I could catch, and I could hit pretty well. And so we put together a team.
You said it's like 1953 or
55.
55. Okay.
No uniforms. Played in tennis shoes and T-shirts. We played 2 teams from Springfield, the Springfield Giants and the Springfield Midgets.
That's hilarious.
One Sunday there and one Sunday here.
Yeah.
And we played our games on the Northwood softball field.
Yeah.
And the people on both sides of the field.
Yeah.
And they parked their cars out in the streets to watch.
Okay.
We hadn't had baseball here for a long time.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. And that started the Little League program here in Bolivar.
That's amazing.
The next year we had 4 teams, and then I went up gradually. I had more teams and had the draft.
Yeah.
And they graded off the field the next year. And you know where the field is? The old field is out by the high school. And built a backstop.
Yeah.
The next year, we had a contest selling stickers, Little League stickers, which I won. I won the contest, and that was to pay for lights.
Wow!
And we got lights on that next year, and that was a big,
that was really a big deal. Yeah, I played in that Little League 30 years after you started it. So thank you for starting that. Yeah,
you're welcome.
Playing out there at the Bolivar Sports Complex. That was a big deal.
I hope you played better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our scorekeeper had a son who played on the team.
Yeah.
And he always led the league in hitting.
That's amazing.
If he got a ground ball, it was a hit.
Yeah, always hit.
He hit it.
Some things don't change.
Yeah. Sandy, what about you? What are some of your hobbies? Too. I know sports played a big part of Bill's life. What about you? What else? What other hobbies?
Well, I've always been involved in politics.
Yeah.
Helped with a lot of important state campaigns and worked on some other re-election of national campaigns too.
Where did that start for you? Was that like in college you got into that, or before?
Well, I don't know.
When did you have an interest in
I was
that?
just born Republican, you know. My grandpa would have not liked it if I did anything. It didn't,
Gotcha.
Been anything else.
Gotcha.
And so we've both been involved in politics. I'm on the Central Committee I serve on the central committee.
Okay.
By the way, we have Lincoln Day Thursday night if anybody wants to go. It's a nice meal.
Okay.
6 o'clock at the Elks Club.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was, I guess, kind of my hobby. I don't do a lot anymore. I
Yeah.
belong to several clubs, PEO and 20 Club, and some of these
Yeah.
things, and play dominoes with the girls out at the club. And but you know, the store certainly took up
Yeah. That's
so
what I
much
was
of my
wondering.
time. But my hobby is music and singing. And up until a few years ago, I was very involved with productions and creating productions. I did the Rotary Club Christmas party
Oh.
every year. Kay Long and I
Yeah.
put that together, but I always did the program for several years. And so that, you know, doing
Yeah.
things like that, giving programs, and of course I did a lot with my trip to Europe,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
One of the things that we did years ago when they opened the Juanita K. Hammond Center,
Yeah.
we had a Bolivar night at the Juanita K. Sandy put
I
together
put it
a group
together.
for us.
Oh.
It was a major
It sounds
thing.
like you're good on the marketing, promoting side there. Is
It
that
was
what you really like?
It was wonderful.
It was a
Then
great
I don't
night.
want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
We even danced on stage.
There. Wow.
We sang and danced.
That's that. Yeah.
It was a
lots of
great night. It was a great night for Bolivar that night.
Yeah.
Putting it together. It was for the grand opening of Juanita K.
Wow.
Hammond's Hall,
Okay.
and they had and I had been involved with Springfield Little Theater, and a lot of artsy people in Springfield, they knew me, and they asked me. They had several on their big opening. They had several communities like Polk County.
Yeah.
It was a Polk County night, and there was a Dallas County night. And so Polk County night, we put together a lot of the people
Yeah.
that sang and played and did all kinds of things, and had artistic
Very cool.
displays. And so it was
Yeah.
and it was such a neat night because we were still in business then, and I had put together the Bolivar Singers, a group of really good singers that I had known here in Bolivar.
Yeah.
And so we were going to perform that night, and I ordered outfits for all the women, and the men wore tuxedos. It was absolutely beautiful. I have the
Oh,
video of it too.
Wow.
And so it was a great night.
And I don't want to deviate from where we're going, but it's about performances and it's musical. And we talked about David Hacker earlier. And I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but there was a trio of David Hacker.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And they would, but not where they would sing. They painted their bellies and it made it look like whistlers.
He
Were
did
you-
that too.
Were you in that? You
was.
that was so,
Whispering Navel, or Whistling Navel.
Whistling Navel.
whistling navels. Okay, that's probably lower brow than what you
It
were
was
just
really
talking about with
kinda-
Juanita K.
Kind of rude. But
I
very-
remember that though. That
but
was
very
pretty
funny.
It was very whistling
David was
navels.
also in a group with David and old fellow who plays guitar.
And they called themselves alopecia, and they were really very good.
Okay.
because they were all
balding. Before they were
They
alopecia.
called themselves alopecia, which means losing your hair.
Right.
David Hacker had quite a dry sense of humor.
Yeah,
He and I ran hundreds of miles together.
yeah,
I ran 4 marathons and he ran a couple.
yeah,
He still runs one a year.
yeah. Wow.
He lives in Indiana.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
right.
know that.
He lives up there by Emily.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah,
Right.
That's where, yeah.
yeah, yeah. The great family. I always love the Hackers.
David, Jack Hacker, Dennis. Remember Jack?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Quite a good part of family.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question, because I'm sure you've had the opportunity to move. Not that you would ever want to. You specifically chose Bolivar to continue to stay here. What was it about Bolivar that made you? What makes Bolivar in your minds here? What do you love about it?
He's Bolivar to me.
He's Bolivar. Well, that's one of the reasons we're sitting here.
Well, that's why I'd be here. Otherwise, I'd be back in St. Louis.
I can't think of a better place to live.
Yeah.
It's
What makes?
safe. I know the people.
It's great.
I know the whole community, and it's all everything's just relative to me,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm glad she came with me, stayed with me.
That's right. Yeah.
The people and the store.
Oh yeah.
I knew everybody that walked in that door,
Yeah.
and my first thing.
I've done several of these now, and I've had the opportunity to ask them the same question. It's amazing how many people say the people. The people are kind. They rally around the cause. And I don't know. I think that to me, if I'm somebody that's considering to move to Bolivar in the area, that's good to hear. That the people can be
And
be
the real
friendly.
plus is Dunnigan Memorial Park.
Yeah.
We go out there every day and we take our Daisy, our dog, out for a walk there.
Now
every
you have a
day.
special story about the park too, though, right? Don't you all have a park bench
The
there?
bench.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Tell me
On
about the bench.
On our 50th anniversary. Well, that's where we had our first date
Right.
at the park.
Yeah.
And so when we were getting ready for our 50th anniversary, I said, Bill, we're going to be cremated anyway, so we don't want a tombstone somewhere, so nobody's going to care. And I said, they need new park benches. Let's start something. Let's put a nice park bench out there for our 50th anniversary, and has a plaque on it.
Yeah.
And we had a dedication. The mayor came,
Yeah.
Chris came,
Yeah.
and had a lot of friends there for a big dedication. So
Yeah.
and then after we did that, then there's several other people put
Several
benches out there.
Which is great.
got rid of those
It's a
old
good idea
ones.
she had.
Bolivar's. I don't know if you've seen it, but they're building that all-inclusive park now over by the rec center. And they were talking about we need some seating here, and I said you should do the same thing that the Dunnigan Park did, where people can donate a bench and put their name on it or whatever. And I thought I just think that's really neat. Of course, we're by the park here, in your house. We're in the house here near the park, and maybe tell me a little bit about the house, because I just got the tour, but I want to, we do this for real estate also. But I'm curious, what do you love about the house? You've been here for how long? All that stuff.
It's home.
It's a fort. We've been here 40 years, and it is a fort.
Yeah.
No, it's built extremely well. Gerald Rail built it in 1960. Cost him $60,000. It was the most expensive house in Bolivar at the time.
Wow.
And then other people tried to beat him up and down the street here. And I don't know how many loads of dirt he had to bring in to make this.
Really?
Oh, yeah. All this is sand rock.
Okay.
We're sitting on sand rock. And we came in, brought all that dirt in, and started the grass, and built the pool house. And
Well, we've loved it here. I like the property as much as the house is wonderful, and it's just right size for us. Except for now, it's a little bit too big for us.
Yeah.
So
Well, it has the full basement.
Yeah. And then we enjoyed the property. We don't open the pool now because he doesn't want to swim, and I can't be out in the sun because of cancer.
Gotcha.
And so it's been a wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a lot of property to keep for us at
Sure.
our age for now.
Yeah.
And our daughter's having a cow to get us to move to Fort Smith, so she can take care of us like we can't take care of ourselves.
But the location is wonderful. You're right by the park.
Beautiful
You're a block
location.
away.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
the cow is giving a lot of milk, so she's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
An interesting story about the business.
Yeah.
People used to say, well, how do you two get along in that business? Don't you fight all the time? And there was a rumor that we'd had a big argument, fight in the store. Well,
We
I
never
did my
that.
thing, and she did her
We
thing.
never did that.
So we hardly ever saw one another. She did the window, she did all the displays, did a beautiful job.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Beautiful job. And then when Jill would get out of school, well, she'd pick Jill up and take her to a piano lesson or something.
Yeah.
Jill was very musical.
Yeah.
Played
Yeah.
the flute, the piano, and sang.
What are you hoping? As parents, we always want the best for our kids, and we hope that we made an impact in their life and gave them direction. What would you say? What are you hoping that maybe you're passing along to Jill, and that if you could say, man, I hope you took this from us. Well, we were this for you.
Well, I think she's well-centered. She's smart. She is dyslexic interventionist in the Fort Smith school system.
Oh, wow.
And she's been that for 32 years.
Okay.
So she has 2 grown children and is expecting our first great-grandchild. Her
Wow.
son is expecting.
That's great.
So that's why one of the reasons they're wanting to get us down there. Plus, he had some bad situation this year. He fell and broke his hip.
Yeah.
So he was in the hospital in Parkview for about 5 weeks. So it was really difficult for me.
Yeah.
So Jill says, Mom, as you all are getting older,
Yeah.
And my grandson is just having a fit for us to move down there. Want you to sell that big house
Yeah.
and come down here.
It'd be kind of nice to be close to him, though.
Well, it would. And he had an appointment with the doctor this morning, Lou Harris, and he said, yes, you need to move down there with Jill.
Wow, she's got the doctor on you now.
Oh,
She's got the
yeah.
doctor on you now. She's made some calls.
But at
it
our
sounds
age,
like.
and I'm 84,
Yeah.
and he is 80. I married a younger man, of course. I knew I could raise him like a woman.
That's good. Yeah.
But it hadn't worked very
Wear 'em out
well.
and throw 'em away. No, that's what it is. Wear 'em out and throw 'em away.
Well,
So, I don't know. We're
Yeah.
kind of toying with
Seeing
selling the
about
house and
The
seeing
thing,
what we
that,
can
thing
do.
that I hope that this city maintains retains is the ambiance.
Yeah.
It is. It's a pretty place, and it's a safe place for kids to be raised.
yeah.
And they have sports opportunities. The school has so many things for kids to do now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so well located in the
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not, what, three hours to St. Louis and 2
2
to
hours,
Kansas City,
30 minutes.
30
to
minutes to
Spring,
Springfield.
and medical care.
Oh, and
Yeah.
that's
one
the
thing
other
that-
thing.
that's
Not
the
only
one-
the park, but our Citizens
CMH.
Memorial
wow.
Hospital is such a blessing to
Yeah.
us all.
People
that's right.
wanting to retire.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than this.
Okay. Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
That
too.
was one we did at one of these with Gerald Andrews this morning, and he kind of talked about
With whom?
Gerald Andrews.
Oh,
you
with
know,
Gerald,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
and-
I worked for him for about 6 months.
Yeah, you
he
mentioned
was,
that.
He was going through what the hospital's doing.
Oh, yeah.
and all, man.
He's on the board now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's
We met him in his office at
Yeah.
CMH this morning. So he's
And he had, and then of course, poor Gerald, after we interviewed him, then he came to Kiwanis and gave the precinct, so he had to see me twice today. But you know, I mean, and, you know, the shocking thing that you know he told. You know how many babies have been delivered at CMH?
Oh, I can't imagine.
18,000.
18,000.
Yeah.
My 2 grandchildren
What
were
are people
born
doing?
there.
You know, and so you know when you look at that in perspective, there's 12,000 people in the city of Bolivar. That's
Yeah,
1.5
that is
times
an
the
amazing.
population.
That is an amazing
Yeah.
statistic. Yeah.
it's only going to get bigger.
all the doctors and their families this place has brought in.
And more to come with that expansion.
Oh, yeah.
my
We'll have a
gosh,
lot more
that
to
place.
come.
He had an appointment out at Lou Harris's office down here at Family Care. And when we drove out, I said, let's just drive down there and look at that. Because when we
Massive.
walk through the park, we always go on the backside
Yeah.
and look up the
But when
hill.
you come in off of,
But when you look at it
Forest
from
and
down
Yeah.
here, it's like,
all that glass,
Gosh.
oh man, it was-
it
Wow.
just takes your breath away.
you know, and from a real estate perspective, we're starting to see it. You're starting to get people who, you know, I live in Hermitage or, you know, out, but my doctor's in Bolivar and we come, you know, 3-4 times a week to Bolivar. So let's find a house in Bolivar
Yeah.
that we can, so, you know,
Oh,
we
right,
can be
yeah.
close. And
Oh,
so,
yeah,
yeah,
sure,
so that's,
Well, did you want to throw out anything else there? Any fun facts about Bolivar? Anything that, from a historical perspective,
He has
anything
more
else
of
you want
that
to
than I
add?
do. So.
It's just a lovely place. Love it. Love the people.
Yeah.
Love the businesses. One time the square was full of active businesses. Square at Christmas time.
Oh, yeah.
For a kid.
Oh, my.
I love
Fantastic. Lights everywhere. And all the businesses had.
Well, I think
Yeah.
the stores that are there now, and the city does a nice job for the holidays and in the park also. I think they do a good job with
Oh, yeah.
the festivities
Yeah.
and pay attention to all the important holidays and
Yeah.
and everything.
Let me ask you a question. Speaking of holidays, something that Carrie brought up earlier was we were talking about the Dunnigans and the old Dunnigan house. And he said, and I don't know if you knew this, Dusty, he said at Halloween, the Dunnigans would put out a big bowl of pennies. It wasn't candy. And you could grab as many pennies as you could
Oh, I
Take
never heard that. Did
and
you?
put them in your bag.
I never.
That's what Carrie said. And he said the bowling alley was 10 cents a game. And so I thought, well,
10
you
cents
get
a line.
10 cents a line.
10 cents a line.
Anyway, I just thought that so you hadn't heard that with the pennies thing. With
No, Carrie probably went 10 or 12 times.
Right. This is great. You got. I'll catch up later. I'm gonna hit this house again.
The
Yeah.
Dunnigans are a story by themselves. They used to have an old Plymouth that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon took off and drove around the park very slowly in that Plymouth. They did every day at 4 o'clock.
Really?
Closed it. They didn't close the bank, but they went to look at their property. And they were proud of that. Their grandfather had built that park
Yeah.
in 1937.
Wow.
And I think I would be remiss not saying that Southwest Baptist has really impacted. I mean,
I agree.
it's brought so much culture and other opportunities and athletics and so
Well,
forth.
to that point, you guys, you came here because of SBU.
Yep.
You met Gerald Andrews this morning. Guyana came
Yep.
from Sedalia there. That's where they met. Me personally, my parents met at SBU, got married. And so when you start looking, at people in the community, it's like, man, if SBU wasn't there, they wouldn't have met. My parents wouldn't have met.
Yeah.
How many, how different would the story look like? And,
Which it's funny because even my wife from Steelville, her dad went to SBU, her mom went to SBU, her grandpa
That's where they met,
went to
yeah.
SBU, and SBU does a tremendous job of attracting people. And then more and more we hear, I came here for the college, but then I stayed for the community.
Yeah.
Which has been kind of a
We need to do all we can do to keep that college here.
yeah, I agree.
Sometimes they have hard times.
Yeah.
And we
Well, small private schools are having trouble anyway, and they have for a number of years. But
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that because I worked for the president of Southwest Baptist
Okay.
when I was first out of college. I was a real high-profile student, and Jim Sells was the president then. Wonderful man, I loved him, and he knew me as a student, and he came to me, and I was in education, a teacher, and he came to me and he said, would you come to work for me? And I said, well, okay. Well, I kind of didn't know what to do, but because I was a really good secretary in St. Louis, and which is what I did at OTC also. And he offered me the job, and I was still in school, so I had to go in in the morning at 7 o'clock to take a chemistry test and chemistry class, and then 9 I went to work for him and the rest of the day. And then after I graduated, then I was full time with him.
Yeah.
So it's been and my mother was a house mother there actually for a couple of
Wow.
years. So yeah, the roots go back. But the quality of life and the opportunities, cultural opportunities that you don't find in small towns,
Yeah.
it's just
yeah.
incredible.
If there's not enough for you, it used to be have to go to Springfield to eat dinner and get a drink.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And you look at Southwest Baptist, and it's Jim Sells.
Yeah.
He was a
His-
great
his-
man.
I think his name has been in all three. I've talked to Gerald Andrews, Kerry Douglas, and now you all, and I think I've heard Jim Sells in all three of the interviews today.
He was
Yeah.
wonderful.
He had foresight, and he
Yeah.
was,
That college wouldn't be what it is today if it weren't for him.
Yeah.
That's why it's the Sells Administrative Building.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
One question I have for you, Bill, we were downstairs talking. When you played football in high school, you said you guys were undefeated. So, I mean,
my senior year we were undefeated.
Yeah.
Nobody could touch us.
which of course we haven't had an undefeated team,
No.
since then. So,
And the coach of that team is one of my all-time favorite people, Charles McAllister. And I got to give the eulogy at his funeral. And coaches have been a big influence on me.
Yeah.
And they can be. I mean,
Because Bill was raised without a father. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, okay.
And they were another thing, when I was growing up without a father, the men in the community made sure that I got to go to father-son dinners. And Bill Roberts Jr., for instance, one of them. Oscar Stanley's shoe store back then. And they took me to father-son things. And I really appreciated it. I enjoyed it. And I paid it forward.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
That's what you should do. You should pay
Yeah.
it forward. Every chance you get in my coaching my teams, that gave me a chance to pay forward there too. I had Mighty Might football team for 3 years, and then a little girls softball team for 3 years.
Which is another story too.
We-
The first year, the team, they didn't win a single game. They were like the Bad News Bears. They were dropping everything, couldn't hit anything. The next year, they won the championship.
no, the last year, the third year, we won a bunch
I
of
thought it
games.
was the next year.
No, it was the last year.
Okay.
And I had one girl This big girl, big strong girl, and I put her in right field so she couldn't make too many errors. So,
Wait a second, that's where I played.
there was a reason.
Yeah.
All the poor players are put in right field.
Yeah, go hide over there.
So, he had to, so one game they hit the ball to her. I thought, oh my, what's going to happen? Well, she picked up the ball and threw it into the parking lot. That's what kind of a team we had. We had some really good players, though.
Yeah.
Wound up being
Yeah, we've had
Good
so
memories.
many good friends here. The Dayballs, we've done so much.
Right.
We used to all go skiing every winter.
we go to Breckenridge.
There
and
would be 80, 90, 100 people from Bolivar out at Breckenridge on the slopes at one time.
And then they had the store on the square, right?
Yeah.
The
Hallmark.
The
Yeah.
Hallmark
Yeah.
store, yeah. And their daughter,
Teeter's Nursery.
Mhm.
their daughter and our daughter are very close friends, like Kay Long's daughter
Yeah.
and Jill. They're extremely
Yeah.
close.
Now they had did they have a son that was really good at football?
Shane.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played for William Gill. He was
Uh-huh.
quarterback for
He
William
played
Gill.
in the Canadian League too, or something, right? In Europe, also. Didn't he go on to
I
play
don't think so.
semi-professional?
No,
Yeah. He was very good.
He could have. He was very good.
Yeah, just remember, and he would have been like
Very
early
smart young
90s.
man.
We've had some really good basketball players too.
Thank you. Oh no!
I said players.
Not just
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We have had great basketball players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The coaches make so much difference.
I agree.
And we had my senior year in high school. We had 57 football players on the team, one coach.
Yeah.
And he made sure that he talked to each player for a little while all through the week. Even the worst player we had.
imagine
the smallest
having
player.
one coach now.
Yeah.
So
no.
now, did you guys play your football games at the old stadium?
Yeah,
Okay.
at the old football field.
Yeah.
And I was 140 pounds playing center. So we played the single wing and nobody could stop us. He brought that old single wing out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had 5 blockers in front of every ball carrier. And people just, their eyes got like this. We had Ron McIntyre, who was 215 pounds, 6'2", and he averaged almost 11 yards a carry. 10.9 yards a carry. Mate, he had a guy from Springfield with the All-Ozark Players of the Year.
Yeah.
He would have been All-State. He was recruited by Oklahoma and Missouri.
Wow.
And Bud Wilkinson came up here. I got to meet Bud Wilkinson.
Wow.
Came up our senior year to watch McIntyre throw the shot in the disc. And he decided to go to Missouri.
Mhm.
And oh gosh, he was a coach. He went to Green Bay to coach.
Oh, Coach of Missouri. I'm a Kansas fan. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, well, anyway, he was a turkey. Excuse me, folks. And anyway, McIntyre's sophomore year, he got kicked in the head, damaged the optic nerves in both of his eyes.
Wow.
He quit.
Wow.
And after he quit, the coach saw him in the locker room one day and said, "Where have you been, McIntyre?" Didn't have it yet.
Yeah.
The guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
And so Ronnie eventually became a
Was it Dan
superintendent.
Devine?
What?
Dan Devine?
That's it. Oh boy. If you've ever seen
Rudy?
Rudy, he's the coach.
Mhm.
He is the coach. And so McIntyre went back to college down here
Mhm.
and got into education, became a superintendent of schools in Illinois, and then a minister. And he came back to Bolivar to live.
Yeah.
Good guy. We had a great team.
Yeah.
We've all stuck together. Most of our offensive line has died.
Yeah.
I lost another one last week. One of
Wow.
my best friends. And
It's good community, good memories.
what's that?
Good memories.
Oh,
then.
great
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah.
My goodness.
That's good. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up on the camera. Then, if you wanted to throw out anything else after that, then you can feel free there too. But anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time.
Oh, it's our
So,
pleasure.
especially at
It's
short
been
notice.
fun.
Yeah, it is fun to kind of.
If there's anything else you want to know, just let me know.
Yeah. Well, and if hopefully the same thing we've been hearing about the community, about the area. If you're looking to buy or sell in Bolivar, and just what a wonderful community to be a part of because of folks like yourselves and others throughout the community, to give me a call. Matt Griswold, Neighborhood Real Estate. Till next time.